I saved her family's hotel. Her lover's betrayal broke me. If this tale of loyalty and betrayal hits you hard, smash that like button, drop your thoughts below, and subscribe to Viora for more stories that burn deep. I poured my soul into saving her family's legacy, only to find her lipstick on his collar at the victory party. Trust doesn't break, it shatters. My name's Tyler Dawson, 38. A business consultant in Asheville, North Carolina with a knack for turning failing ventures into gold. I've got a tidy nest egg, mid-six figures, nothing flashy, and a marriage I thought was rock solid. Maya. My wife of 7 years is a firecracker, smart, driven with a smile that could sell ice in a blizzard. We built a life in a cozy Blue Ridge mountain cabin, splitting our time between my consulting gigs and her family's struggling hotel, the Crestwood Lodge. It was our dream to make it shine again, a legacy for the kids we planned to have. Until the night I saw her with him, and everything I'd fought for turned to ash. The Crestwood was a mess when I stepped in 2 years ago. Maya's family, the Warrens, had run it into the ground, leaky roofs, outdated decor, and a Yelp rating that screamed, "Avoid her dad." George Warren was a stubborn old goat who thought charm could pay the bills. Her brother Dylan Warren was worse, a 32-year-old party boy who'd rather chug bourbon than check a ledger. Maya begged me to help, and I couldn't say no. I loved her, and the Crestwood was her heart. So I rolled up my sleeves, refinanced loans, revamped the menu, and trained staff until my hands bled. By spring 2024, the lodge was booked solid, TripAdvisor raving, and the bank account finally black. I was the hero, right wrong. The first twist came at the relaunch party, June 2024. The Crestwood's ballroom glowed with string lights, guests sipping craft cocktails, toasting our comeback. Maya looked like a dream in a green dress, her laugh echoing as she worked the room. I was on cloud nine, shaking hands with investors until I caught her slipping out to the terrace with Brian Foster. Our new marketing guy. Brian was all charm, slick hair, sharper suits, the kind of guy who'd sell you your own car and make you thank him. I followed my gut churning and saw them in the shadows, her hand on his chest, his lips too close. Then I saw a smudge of her red lipstick on his collar. My heart stopped. Was this a cheating story unfolding right under my nose? I didn't confront her. Not then. I went back to the party, poured a whiskey, and smiled through gritted teeth. Maya returned all smiles, kissing my cheek like nothing happened. "You're amazing, Ty," she whispered. I nodded, but her lipstick burned in my mind. That night I couldn't sleep, replaying every glance, every late-night work call she'd taken. Brian had been around a lot, strategy meetings, ad campaigns, always with that smug grin. Had I been blind? The next morning I checked the lodge's security footage. Call it paranoia, but I had access as the guy who'd installed the system. At 11:43 p.m., the terrace camera caught Maya and Brian again, her laughing, him leaning in their hands, brushing no kiss, but the intimacy was a punch to the gut. I saved the clip, my hands shaking, and drove to my office, a small space downtown where I ran my consulting firm. My assistant Lauren Holt saw my face and poured coffee. "You okay, boss?" she asked. I shook my head. Not even close. The second twist hit that afternoon. George called a family meeting at the lodge, and I figured it was to thank me. Instead, he stood at the head of the table, Maya by his side, and announced Dylan as the new CEO. Dylan, who'd spent the relaunch drunk in a corner slurring pickup lines at waitresses. "He's a Warren," George said, his voice firm. "This is his birthright." Maya wouldn't meet my eyes. I stood my chair, scraping. "I saved this place," I said, my voice low. George shrugged. "You did your part, Tyler. Now step back like I was hired. Help, not family." I walked out, my blood boiling. Maya caught me in the parking lot, her voice soft. "I didn't know he'd do this." I turned, searching her face. "Did you know about Brian too?" Her eyes widened, but she didn't answer. That silence was louder than any confession. I got in my truck and peeled out, the mountains blurring past. I'd given everything, my time, my money, my heart, and they'd tossed me aside. The third twist came a week later. Lauren, who'd become my confidant, dug into Brian's emails after I mentioned my suspicions. She found a thread between him and Maya buried in the lodge's server. "Meet me at the Overlook," one read, "time-stamped a month ago. Another Tyler can't know." My chest tightened. I confronted Maya that night, showing her the emails on my phone. "What's this?" I demanded. She paled, stammering. "It's not what you think, Ty. Brian's just helping with PR, helping." I laughed cold and sharp. "His collar says otherwise." She reached for me, but I stepped back. Fix this, Maya, or I'm done. The fourth twist hit at a staff meeting I forced myself to attend. Dylan, now CEO, fumbled through a presentation, spilling coffee on his notes while Brian smirked from the sidelines. Then Maya stood defending Dylan's vision, her eyes avoiding mine. I saw it clear. She'd chosen them, her family, maybe Brian over me. I left the meeting, drove to a bar, and stared at my Whiskey Natalie's ring in my pocket. I wasn't just betrayed. I was erased. That night I made a call. Not to a lawyer. Not to Maya. To a realtor. Find me land, I said. I'm starting over. If they didn't want me, I'd build something they couldn't ignore. The realtor's call came at dawn. The Blue Ridge Mountains glowing pink outside my window. Found you a spot, she said. 10 acres old vineyard 20 minutes from Asheville. Perfect for a boutique lodge. I didn't hesitate, buy it. Maya's lipstick on Brian Foster's collar. Her silence when I confronted her and her family's betrayal had lit a fire in me. The Crestwood Lodge was theirs. This, my Silver Oak retreat, would be mine. I threw myself into the project like a man possessed. By July 2024, I'd cashed out a chunk of my savings, $400,000 to secure the land and start construction. I hired a small crew, local guys who knew the mountains, and worked alongside them, hammering beams until my hands blistered. Lauren Holt, my assistant, took on logistics, sourcing eco-friendly materials and pitching designs that screamed class without pretension. You're building a legacy, Tyler, she said, sketching a cedar-lined lobby. I nodded, but legacy wasn't the word. This was survival. Maya called daily, leaving voicemails. I didn't answer. Ty, let's talk, she'd say. Her voice soft, strained. I messed up. Please, I deleted them. Her words drowned out by the memory of Brian's smirk and Dylan's drunken slur as CEO. At night, I'd sit on my porch, Maya's ring glinting in my hand, and wonder if she'd been cheating all along. The emails, the terrace. Her excuses, they stacked up like evidence in a trial I didn't want to face. The first twist hit in August at a hardware store where I was buying lumber. I ran into Ethan Reed, a bartender from the Crestwood, who'd quit after Dylan's takeover. Place is a dumpster fire, Ethan said, tossing nails into his cart. Dylan fired half the staff, and Brian's running shady ads, overpromising, under-delivering. He leaned in, voice low, heard Maya's fighting with him, though. She's not happy. My jaw tightened. Maya unhappy, good. But Ethan's next words stopped me cold. Brian's got a side hustle consulting for some big hotel chain. Word is he's pushing to sell the Crestwood. Sell it after I'd saved it. I thanked Ethan, my mind racing, and called Lauren Digg into Brian Foster. I said everything Silver Oak took shape by fall: 6 cabins, a glass-walled dining hall, and a fire pit overlooking the vineyard. I poured my anger into every detail: hand-carved railings, locally sourced linens, a menu showcasing mountain farms. Lauren booked influencers for the soft launch. And by October, we had bookings through spring. I was in my element negotiating with suppliers when Lauren dropped a folder on my desk. Brian's dirty, she said, her eyes sharp. The second twist. Brian wasn't just a sleaze, he was funneling Crestwood profits to a shell company tied to Pinnacle Resorts. A corporate chain sniffing around Asheville emails showed he'd been cozying up to their execs with Maya copied on some. She didn't reply to these, Lauren pointed out. But she knew. My chest burned. Maya knew, and didn't tell me. Was she protecting Brian, or just spineless? I drove to the Crestwood that night, uninvited, and found Maya in the office papers, scattered, her face drawn. Tyler, she gasped, standing. Why are you here? I tossed Lauren's folder on the desk. Brian's selling you out. Pinnacle's his endgame. You knew, didn't you? Her eyes darted to the folder, then back to me. Guilty, I found out last week. She said, her voice small. I was going to fix it. Fix it like she'd fixed us. I leaned in, my voice low. You chose Dylan. You chose Brian. You didn't choose me. She reached for my arm, tears welling. I love you, Ty. I was scared. I pulled away, the air thick with her perfume and my regret. You should have fought for us, I said, and walked out. The third twist came in November at Silver Oak's soft launch. The place was packed: foodies, bloggers, even a travel and leisure rep. I worked the crowd, shaking hands, when George Warren showed up, his face red from the hike. Tyler, he said, pulling me aside, Crestwood's bleeding. Dylan's a disaster. We need you back. I laughed, sharp and cold. You made your choice, George. Live with it. He grabbed my arm, desperate. Name your price, CEO. Full control. I yanked free, my blood hot. I'm not your fix-it guy anymore. As he left, I saw Maya in the doorway, watching, her eyes pleading. I turned away. Pouring wine for a guest, her gaze heavy on my back. By December, Silver Oak was the talk of Asheville. Bookings doubled, and a local bank offered a loan to expand. I was finalizing the deal when Lauren flagged a news alert. Crestwood was in foreclosure. Dylan had botched a loan payment, and Brian had vanished. Leaving a trail of bounced checks, Ethan texted me. "Staff's gone. Guests are trashing it online." I should have felt vindicated, but all I felt was hollow. Maya's dream was dying, and part of me still cared. The fourth twist hit at a Christmas market where I ran into Claire Monroe, Maya's cousin, and the Crestwoods' former chef. She hugged me, her apron dusted with flour. "Maya's a wreck," she said, her voice low. "She's been meeting Brian in secret before he skipped town. Not an affair, Ty." She was trying to stop him. My stomach dropped. Not an affair. The lipstick, the emails the terrace had, I misread it all. "She didn't want to burden you," Claire added. "Thought she could save the lodge herself." I gripped my coffee, the market's lights blurring. Maya, fighting alone. I'd walked away, built Silver Oak, but at what cost? That night I sat in my cabin, Maya's ring on the table, and called a lawyer. Not for divorce, for something else. The Crestwood wasn't my fight anymore, but Maya was still my wife. And I wasn't done yet. The lawyer's office smelled of leather and coffee, a stark contrast to the frost biting my knuckles as I clutched Maya's ring. I wasn't here to end our marriage, not yet. I'd called Jessica Klein, a sharp attorney, known for dismantling corporate scams, to dig into Brian Foster's shell company and Pinnacle Resorts' play for the Crestwood Lodge. Claire's words at the Christmas market had shaken me. Maya hadn't been cheating with Brian, but trying to stop him. The lipstick, the emails, the terrace moments, I'd built a cheating wife story in my head. But the truth was messier. Maya was fighting for her family's legacy alone, while I'd walked away to build Silver Oak Retreat. Now, with the Crestwood in foreclosure and Brian gone, I needed answers not just for me, but for us. Jessica leaned back, her pen tapping a folder. "Foster's a ghost," she said. "Skipped town, likely in Mexico. Pinnacle's still circling, lowballing the bank to snatch the Crestwood." But here's the kicker. Maya signed contracts with Brian's shell company thinking they were for marketing. They tie her to his debts. My jaw clenched. Maya liable for Brian's mess. "Can we clear her?" I asked. Jessica nodded. "If we prove fraud, I'll need her cooperation." I left the Asheville skyline dim under January clouds and drove to our cabin. Maya was there packing boxes, her face pale. "Ty," she said, startled. "I didn't expect you." I held up the folder. "We need to talk." Now she sat, hands twisting, as I laid out Jessica's findings. "Brian played you," I said, my voice steady but sharp. "Those contracts could ruin you." Her eyes welled. "I thought I was saving the lodge," she whispered. "He said Pinnacle would invest, not buy us out." I was stupid. Stupid wasn't the word. Desperate was I wanted to yell, to ask why she hadn't trusted me. But her broken expression stopped me. "Work with Jessica," I said instead. "We'll fix this." She nodded, reaching for my hand. I let her hold it, but the ring stayed in my pocket. The first twist came in February when Jessica uncovered a paper trail. Brian's shell company had funneled Crestwood funds to Pinnacle through offshore accounts with forged signatures implicating Maya. "It's fraud," Jessica said, slamming documents on her desk. "We can nail Pinnacle, maybe even find Foster. But Maya needs to testify." I called Maya, who was staying with her cousin Claire, and relayed the plan. "I'll do it," she said, her voice firmer than I'd heard in months. "I'm done hiding." I felt a flicker of pride, but it didn't erase the hurt. She'd fought for the lodge, not for us. Silver Oak was thriving with a feature in Condé Nast Traveler and a waitlist into fall. I hired Lauren Holt full-time as manager, her efficiency freeing me to focus on the Crestwood mess. Ethan Reed, the ex-Crestwood bartender, started working our bar, bringing gossip. "Dylan's checked into rehab," he said, pouring me a beer. "George is begging investors to save the lodge. They're done. The word should have felt good, but it didn't. The Crestwood was Maya's heart, and part of me still bled for her. The second twist hit in March. At a bank meeting, I'd muscled my way into Pinnacle, had upped their offer to buy the Crestwood, but the bank-smelling fraud stalled. I sat across from George Warren, his face haggard, and pitched a counter. Silver Oak would loan the Crestwood enough to settle its debts with me as interim manager to stabilize it. George scoffed. "You're not family, Tyler." I leaned forward, my voice cold. "I'm the only shot you've got," Maya there, as a silent observer, spoke up. "He's right, Dad. Tyler saved us before he can again." Her eyes met mine, fierce, and for a moment I saw the woman I'd married. The bank agreed, but George walked out muttering about betrayal. I took over the Crestwood. rehiring old staff like Claire and firing Dylan's cronies. The place was a wreck. Moldy carpets broken. HVAC, TripAdvisor, a graveyard of one-star reviews. I worked 18-hour days negotiating with creditors, while Maya handled PR, her old spark flickering back. We were a team again, but not a couple. At night, I'd crash at Silver Oak, her ring on my nightstand, wondering if I was saving the lodge for her or for me. The third twist came in April when Jessica got a break. A whistleblower from Pinnacle, a junior exec named Tara Wells, leaked emails proving Brian had colluded with their CEO to tank the Crestwood's value. Tara met us at a diner, her hands shaking Foster's in Cancun. She said Pinnacle paid him to disappear. I called a contact at the FBI, passing the emails, and within days, they raided Pinnacle's Charlotte office. Maya's contracts were voided, her liability gone. She hugged me outside the courthouse, sobbing, "Thank you, Ty." I nodded, my throat tight, but didn't hug back. Gratitude wasn't love. By May, the Crestwood was breaking, even bookings creeping up. I stepped back, handing the reins to Claire, who'd earned it. George apologized, his voice gruff. I was wrong. Tyler, I shrugged. Prove it by listening to her, I said. Nodding at Claire, Dylan, out of rehab, sent me a letter promising to change. I didn't reply. Some bridges stay burned. The final twist hit in June at Silver Oak's grand opening. The vineyard glowed under lanterns, guests raving about our smoked trout and local wines. Maya showed up uninvited in a blue dress that reminded me of our wedding. "I'm proud of you," she said, her voice soft. "And I'm sorry I should have fought for you." I looked at her, the woman I'd loved, and felt the weight of her ring in my pocket. "Why didn't you?" I asked. She swallowed, tears brimming. "I was scared of losing them, but I lost you instead." I nodded, the truth settling like dust. "I can't be your fallback, Maya." She left, her footsteps fading, and I turned back to my guests, the mountain air cool on my face. Silver Oak won a regional tourism award that summer. My name in the headlines, not Warren's. I expanded, buying a neighboring plot, while the Crestwood limped along under Claire's steady hand. Maya moved to Charlotte, starting a small PR firm, and sent me a letter. "You showed me what strength looks like. I'll always love you." I kept it unopened in a drawer. Love wasn't enough. Not anymore. Now I'm standing on Silver Oak's deck, the Blue Ridge Mountains rolling out like a promise. I'm alone, but not lonely. Maya's ring is in a safe, a relic of a life I don't regret but won't repeat. I built something unbreakable, not for her, but for me. Yet sometimes I wonder, could we have rebuilt us too? What would you do? Forgive a love that failed you, or keep walking your own path? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, and subscribe to Viora for more stories that cut deep and lift you up.